And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China.
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit, like God's property. It's hard to market, so we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight, 'cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the
Most Egyptologists and anthropologists, archaeologists of the Eurocentric persuasion will say that Egypt is in Africa. They had to concede that, but then they still draw the line by saying that they weren't Africans like that. In other words, they weren't dark-skinned people. And of course, this is all part of the Great Deception. And the reality is that if they give up Egypt, ancient Kemet, if they give that up and say that that was a part of Black Africa, then they will also have to give up Israel. And that's why they draw the line at Egypt, because if they give up Egypt, they've got to give up Israel.
Now, we're going to go over here, and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai, okay? This is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right, this is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluach Afrikani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluach Afrikani, which means that Israel is northeast Africa.
Without question, we are in Northeast Africa. We are landlocked to Egypt, with the exception of the Suez Canal, which was a man-made ditch, a boundary now between, in fact, it's not even really a boundary anymore since Egypt has reclaimed the Sinai Peninsula. But nevertheless, even those of us who are Pan-Africanists in our thinking and Afrocentric, we forget and we leave off that portion of Northeast Africa and don't want to claim anything beyond that.
Europeans classified this area as a Middle East. You know, and then since this the Middle East, the other question, where the Middle West? Where the Middle North and where the Middle South? They don't have no geographical terms like that.
Wells comes face to face with the man he's been searching for. A new portrait of the common ancestor of every man today. Adam. Without the skull, we can't know for sure what Adam looked like. But a combination of genetic evidence, Bender's forensic skills, and cutting-edge computer software suggests he looked something like this. Thousands of years after the Bible, and hundreds of years after Michelangelo, we have a whole new face for Adam.
Their bones were discovered in Cepher caves near Nazareth in Galilee in 1933. 13 fragile skeletons, one a woman, a tiny baby at her feet. When these bones were first uncovered, they were the oldest complete modern human skeletons ever found.
The numerous skeletons that have been found in caves in Israel at the sites of Cepher and Shul show us that there were modern humans outside of Africa over 100.
Tell us more about your work and the coursework that you're doing, because you are a real advocate for this topic and why it's so important in the times we're living in.
I appreciate it. I think the most important thing is like the if so, so what? So we've established that there are these individuals over here, but the next question is, what do we do about it? Is everyone's supposed to convert and come back to Israel? But if we think that way, there's really 100 million people around the world that have this Israelite identity. There's really 100 million people around the world that have this Israelite identity.
There's really 100 million people around the world that have this Israelite identity.
Is there a reason that the Jewish people that represent, and I want to get back to this because you didn't let me finish a while ago, they represent 0.2% of the world's population. In the entirety of the world, there are about 16 million Jews total. In the entirety of the world, there are about 16 million Jews total.
There's really 100 million people around the world that have this Israelite identity.
16 million.
100 million.
16 million.
There's really 100 million people around the world that have this Israelite identity coming from the tribes. And Israel's, smaller than the size of New Jersey. Is it sustainable to think in the way of having to convert and bring back? And if you look at the Lemba, they don't even want to convert. They said, why are we converting to something we're already part of?
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite. Ancient Israelite, that's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, but already he said, no, we don't have so many years. I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of notes, and I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you. All right. I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible. Yes. Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews?
The entire Bible is about black people. Not only was Jesus black, but every character in the Bible seems to be black too. Yeah, Zephaniah and Jeremiah and Jebediah, those all aren't white people names, okay? And Jesus wasn't some tan, partially melanated Middle Eastern person either. I'm talking straight up black dude, okay? Even in the book of Revelation, when you get the vision of Daniel, he's describing someone with feet like burnt brass and white woolly hair, and we've got the deep running water voice with the red eyes, and you guys, he's black. The Jewish people are black people, like Kanye was right.
Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh.
I want to say peace and blessings to you guys. I know I went a little later than what I anticipated on, and I know this is not a scheduled live, but decided to do a live just to kind of follow up with what I did last night, and wanted to really go a little deeper with what I did last night. I didn't have a lot of my clips available, but tonight I have some clips available tonight, and I really wanted to not just necessarily focus on the language, which I can, but I really want to go a little deeper with the Cepher book, right? In terms of starting with Dr. Pigeon, right? Stephen Pigeon. And you guys already know, probably be familiar with his video here because I play his clip. quite often. In my introduction, you guys probably familiar with this clip right here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? All right, familiar with this clip.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was born in the United States hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African American community in this country. To eliminate.
All right, so you guys are familiar with that. I show that video clip from time to time because, he's saying that we're the people of the book, right? And I'm calculated when I share certain clips because I do know that there are spaces out there that don't want to acknowledge that we are the people of the book, and they want to present information in a way, deceptively presented in a way, as if we're just a group of nutcases, quite honestly, like we're a cult and these things. But I show those testimonies from different people saying these things. But the reason why I decided to focus on the Cepher Bible or the Cepher book, again, it is not called a Bible, it's the Cepher book. It doesn't even meet the standards of the requirements of putting out a Bible translation. There's certain requirements that come along with the territory, that goes with the territory rather. And we're not going to get into that tonight, but for me is I really wanted to highlight the theology of Dr. Pigeon, because for me that his work, as far as his book, is prevalent in this awakening, very influential. When you look at the name being used for the Most High, for the Father, Yahuwah, he played a major role in that because of his book. Most don't view it as being a book and not a Bible. Why? Because we as a people, we are very respectful for the most part of the words of the Most High. So we have a great deal of respect when even just a copy of the Bible, you know what I mean? But we have to start paying attention to not just the work itself, but the person behind it. And what I'm going to share with you is going to give you clarity on exactly what he teaches. And I know it's going to come to a shock to many of you guys, because I know many of you guys have his book. And I know that there's some channels. I know Watchman and Deborah, they endorse this book. I know that there was other platforms that endorsed this book. But most really don't understand or really don't know the doctrine, the theology that Dr. Pigeon promotes. And let me just ask this question. How many of you guys in the chat, how many of you guys have a Cepher Bible? And don't be ashamed. If you have one, you have one. If you don't, you don't. This is not trying to embarrass anyone if you do. But how many of you guys, just type one, and I'll use this as an opportunity to give some shout outs. How many of you guys have a Cepher Bible or a Cepher book? Just type one. All right. All right, let's see here. Sister Carol says she has a copy. Elder Bethia said that she has a copy. And peace and blessings to you, Elder. Appreciate you holding things down in California. Appreciate you. Hadassah says that she has a copy, right? Who else do we have? Of course, I got your Sister Carol, and I'll be bringing you guys here in a second here. Elia says he has a copy. Who else? Van P has a copy. Peace and blessings to you. Let's see here. Ivan David, peace and blessings to you, my brother. Please appreciate the love and support. He has a copy. And Shimon, Yahuwah's Awakening Remnant, has a copy. Who else do we see here? Bro Ricky, Yashar Yahu has a copy. Dantil, excuse me if I mispronounce your name. Charge it to my head, not to my heart, but appreciate you, my brother. Who else do we have here? Only Royalty, Mr. Zethan. Who else? Aka. Uh, yeah, Aka. I can't make it out. Is it Akachual? Excuse me if I butcher your name. Has a copy. Let's see who else. Kaba or Cabo, excuse me, has a copy. Who else do we have here? Pine Hill Productions, shout outs to you, has a copy. Rod Lee has a copy, shout outs to you. Let's see here. All right, all right. You didn't get it? Okay. Sister Rita, peace and blessings to you. No, I didn't get it after what you said about a few years ago. I appreciate the love and support. Yeah, I've been consistent with what I've been saying over the years. And, I want to share a few more things about the person for us in terms of the theology that this person endorses that I'm sure most of you guys don't know. All right. Let's see here. Nautica, I hope I pronounced it correctly. Shout outs to you, has a copy. Who else do we have here? I think it's Aaron. No, I'm not going to butcher it. My apologies, guys. I'm not on top of my game tonight with some of the names, but peace and blessings to you. Has a copy of the book as well. Let me see here. 2JZ Rockin' has a copy of it. Shout outs to you. Let's see here. Sandra Phillips, planning on purchasing one. Well, you may change your mind after we get into some of this specifics here. All right. But peace and blessings to you. Yah's Glory has purchased a copy. I want to say peace and blessings to you. QB has a copy. Let's get a few more shout outs here. Let's see here. Garland Stinson has a copy. I think I got you already, but peace and blessings to you has a copy. Who else do we have here? Sorry, I do not have a copy. Hey, don't apologize if you don't have a copy. You are good. Save that money. All right, let's see here. Sister Georgetta, shout outs to you, has a copy, purchased a copy of it. All right, let's get a couple more in and shout outs to you. Peace and blessings to you. All right. All right. So let's see. I think I see one more person here. I bought one 2 years ago and it never felt right. Couldn't explain why, but thank you for doing this. Halala wa ya. Appreciate you. Hallelujah. Right. So we're going to get into this, right? And I want to make it clear, family. This is not the intent. The intentions behind this lesson or this live tonight is not personal attacks, right? This is me addressing doctrine. All right. Now, I'm pretty confident no one is going to post in the comment section that I think about reaching out to this person. Anyway, that's a whole nother subject. But before I get started, let me go ahead and bring in a couple of people here. All right. I want to say shout outs to you, Berean Scholar, and shout outs to you, Sister Carol.
Shalom, brothers.
Shalom, shalom.
All right, peace and blessings. You guys already know the routine. And if you see anyone trolling in the chat that I may miss, you guys already know what to do. But as I progress, you guys already know if you have a comment that you'd like to share, feel free to do so. All right.
All right, let's go.
So let's go to get into it, family. And I know some of you guys are probably trying to understand or figure out why do I have the topic or why did I select the topic that you see on the screen? And I am going to explain it. Replacement theology, the Cepher book, right? And again, it is not a Bible. It doesn't even meet the standards of being a Bible, okay? But nevertheless, I'm not going to get into the those things, critiques of it. We'll do that. Maybe we'll do that this upcoming week. Just go through the critiques of the Cepher book. All right. But nevertheless, replacement theology, the Cepher book. Let's explain it here. Let's start with Zephaniah. I went over this passage yesterday, and I'll just revisit it again. Because it's very important for us to really understand these scriptures. I want to say this also. It's important for us to really understand Genesis chapter 10. Now, Sister Carol been following me. We've been connected for almost 10 years. And she'll tell you, since she's known me, I've been teaching Genesis 10. And I think when I did the Black Lives Matter message, I was just on the tail end of teaching that same message for over 3 years. Am I right, Sister Carol?
That's correct.
So, and I've been teaching, I've literally taught the same message for over 3 years. And for those that have been with PFR all this time, they would tell you, if I just start off and I just ask the question, what is heritage? They will come out and say in uniform, land, family, and tongues, right? Because if you don't understand the begats, such and such begat this person, such and such begat this person, you're going to be extremely lost. All right. And those are the pockets of this that many would infiltrate, in terms of those pockets of ignorance or not knowing, to push deception. All right. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. Zephaniah 3, verse 9 and 10, real quick. You guys know this. I went over this last night. For then will I turn to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of Yahweh, to serve him with one consent. The Hebrew word you see here is barawar, and the for pure, and you see the word shapah for language. And I know some of you guys may ask the question, why am I using a pa versus a ph, right? Ancient Hebrew did not have a ph or a f sound. That's influence of the Greeks. The Greeks, by way of the letter focus. All right, so I want to make sure you're clear on that. The ancient Hebrew did not have a ph sound, right? So this is why you hear me say shapah, right? Let me read it again. For then when I turn to the people a pure barawar language, that they may all call upon the name of Yahweh, to serve him with one akkad consent, shakam. And real quick, the Hebrew definition of pure, or should I say barar, right? Barawar, right? In the ancient pronunciation of it, it says to clarify, examine, make bright, cleanse, be cleansed, polish, purge out, purge, sifting, right? That if we want to just summarize it, it'll be sift. Okay. And so with that, this doesn't give any inclination that the Most High is going to give us a new language. No, he's going to cleanse our language, free from all the ambiguity that was interpolated or inserted into it to create confusion. All right. But anyway, let's continue here. So Yahweh is going to clean. He's going to purge out the language of his chosen people. So anyone that may tell you that the Most High is going to give us a new language, that is completely incorrect. Here's the prophecy giving us confirmation that he's going to restore our language. He's going to purge it. All right. But let's look at this word shapah that transliterates to the word language. As you see, it means lip, of course, language. And then we see speech. All right. So again, this means that Israel's speech, starting with our heart, will be purged, and all of Israel, Yasharah, Allah, will speak one language. So let's deal with a little bit of replacement theology, because I can get right into Dr. Pigeon's things that he stated, some of his teachings. But I want to start with replacement theology, because many don't really know or understand what replacement theology is, right? And truth be told, replacement theology is an extension of covenant theology. Covenant theology is ultimately replacement theology. And I'm sure you guys heard that term, covenant theology. But most that even teach on covenant theology really don't know what covenant theology is. It's synonymous again to replacement theology. All right. But let's give a little source here so that way we can all be on the same page here. Let's start with the Moody Handbook of Theology. All right. Just to give you a little history here. Covenant theology is a system of interpreting the scriptures on the basis of two covenants, the covenant of works and the covenant of grace. Some covenant theologians specify three covenants: works, redemption, and grace. Covenant theology teaches that God initially made a covenant of works with Adam, promising eternal life for obedience and death for disobedience. Adam failed and death entered the human race. God, and again, guys, I'm just reading this source. You guys know where I stand with this word. Nevertheless, God, however, moved to resolve man's dilemma by entering into a covenant of grace through which the problem of sin and death would be overcome. Christ is the ultimate mediator. All right. So, doctrinal affirmation, just to give you clarity, of covenant theology, the covenant of works, covenant of redemption, covenant of grace, and replacement theology. Let me say that again. These are the doctrinal affirmations of covenant theology: the covenant of works, the covenant of redemption, the covenant of grace, and the replacement theology. All of this falls up under the covenant theology, right? So, covenant theology is also known as replacement theology. All right, let's go back to the source here. Replacement theology is a distinctive of covenant theology. The terminology reflects its teaching that the church has replaced Israel in God's program. They believe that since Israel rejected Jesus as their Messiah, God has replaced Israel with the church. Israel no longer has a future in God's program. The promises of God has made to Israel have been fulfilled in the church. This disintegration of Israel as a nation and the dispersion of the Jewish people among the nations is an added argument that replacement theologians use to advance their belief. Since the church has replaced Israel in God's program, the promises made to Israel have been or will ultimately be fulfilled in the church. That's what again, covenant replacement theology really is. That's what they believe. Replacement theology developed over the centuries. Augustine, from 354 to 430 AD, viewed Israel as having been replaced by the church. He believed the promises originally made to Israel would be fulfilled in the church. Church leaders such as Jerome and Chrysostom invoked harsh polemics against the Jews. Through the Dark Ages, anti-Semitism became prominent, culminating with the atrocities of the Crusades against not only the Muslims, but also against Israel. The dominant view during these centuries was that God had rejected the Jewish people and replaced the Hebrew nation with the church. And family, we're not going to get into the semantics with the word Jew, and we're not doing that tonight. I'm just reading this source here. But nevertheless, unquestionably, the hostility of the people towards the Jews affected medieval theology. So this is a key point, right? Replacement theologians point to Galatians 3, chapter 3, verse 29, when they shows the sonship of Abraham is spiritual, not physical. Let me say that again. Replacement theologians, they will point to Galatians chapter 3, verse 29, which they say shows the sonship of Abraham is spiritual, not physical. So this is where they start getting into this this spiritual Israel, which that is non-existent. That is an absolute contradiction. There's no biblical verse passage in its proper context that refers to Israel as being spiritual. Notice I say proper context, because you could take any passages and piecemeal it together to try to form a narrative. But Galatians chapter 3, verse 29, this is what they use. And if ye be Christ, Mashiach, then are ye Abraham's seed and heirs according to the promise. Right? So here's the summary from the source of covenant theology, just that knocks that down. Even within Christianity, guess what? This source, the Moody's Handbook of Theology, knocks all of that down. Look at this here. Scriptures related to Israel are made to refer to the church, and it gives references like Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 25 through 28. Other such areas of legitimate distinction need to be considered by covenant theologians. Replacement theology's major weakness is that it must resort to hermeneutic of allegorization. In other words, they use allegories or symbolisms to try to make the connection. Right? That's what this is saying here. In other words, Israel is made to mean the church. However, a lexical and concordance study of the word Israel will demonstrate that Israel is never used in an allegorical sense. It says it always means the physical posterity of Jacob. Now that's a mic drop, right, family? It's making it clear. Now this is a Christian source, seminary source. The Moody Handbook of Theology is making it clear that anyone that's teaching that the church has replaced Israel, they are using the doctrine, or should I say the approach of allegorization, making Israel into an allegory in order to promote that theology. But it makes it clear in when it says lexical and concordance, to say in your dictionaries, you will not see any entry for Israel itself being used synonymously with the church. That's what this is saying here. It goes on to say allegorization is not objective in its interpretation. It is subjective, and leads to a serious question. If the text concerning Israel can be allegorized, what else can be allegorized? Liberal theologians take this concept to a final conclusion by allegorizing the claims of Christ, thereby denying Christ's deity. Scripture is clear that God had not abandoned the Hebrew people. Paul raises the question and then gives the categorical answer. I say then, God has not rejected his people, has he? May it never be, for I too am an Israelite, a descendant of Abraham. And it goes on to say, of the tribe of Benjamin. Doesn't that sound like a playbook that many of us express when it deals with Paul, that Paul is making it clear that he's an Israelite, that he is of the tribe of Benjamin? But this is a source that you can use for many of your brothers and sisters that alludes to that. But it says here, God has not rejected his people whom he foreknew. Paul further makes the provocative statement, affirming that even in their unbelief, the Hebrew people remain God's chosen people. From the standpoint of the gospel, they are enemies for your sake. But from the standpoint of God's choice, they are beloved for the sake of the Father, for the gifts and the callings of God are irrevocable, right? Or irrevocable, excuse me. God promised Israel, if my covenant for day and night stand not in the fixed patterns of heaven and earth, I have not established, then I will reject the descendants of Jacob and David my servant, not taking from his descendants rulers over the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. but I will restore their fortunes and I will have mercy on them. And this is giving Jeremiah, making reference to Jeremiah 35, verse 25 and 26. God has promised not only their irrevocable covenant, but their future restoration as well. So this is making it clear that the Most High did not replace Israel with other nations. Okay, so this leads me to giving you clarity about Dr. Pigeon. He promotes replacement theology in the form of British Israelism. Let me say that again. Dr. Pigeon promotes replacement theology in the form of British Israelism. Now, before I continue, Berean Scholar, Sister Carol, any comments before I continue?
And this whole thing about this this theology, if anybody want to search it, like you say, you can't find that in the scripture anywhere, but it came forth through the way that
don't go. I'm going to explain it.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. No, you know I do. I'm going to explain it.
It's frustrating when you think about how it got into our psyche.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sister Carol, you can say something?
I was going to say what he said. It's building the foundation to what we have in our brains today.
Absolutely, family. And this is what he promotes. He pushes British Israelism. All right. So what is British Israelism? Now I'm just going to use this source right here because it kind of brings it all together, and then I'm sure you guys, as you did your research on this, it probably was bringing you to all kinds of different places to try to piece together, what the doctrine really is. But this source kind of brings everything together. All right. So family, for those that don't know what British Israelism is, and I'll sum it up here as I read this here. British Israelism, also known as BI, Anglo-Israelism, and the identity is the belief that the Anglo-Saxon peoples are the direct biological descendants of the 10 tribes of Israel who never returned to their homeland after the Assyrian exile of the 8th century BC. The whereabouts of this lost people has entertained and frustrated Bible teachers and scholars for centuries. But in the mid to late 19th century, a small uncoordinated group of British writers and lecturers declared they had solved the age-old conundrum. John Wilson lectures in subsequent publications of Our Israelitish Origin, 1840, were the beginning and main source of British Israelite thought. By the turn of the century, the teaching had I can't even say it, prolific apologists in America as well as England. At the height of its influence in the early 20th century, British Israelism probably claimed 2 million adherents and carried a representative cross-section of the British and American population. So British Israelism was a racial, biological, national, and territorial theology, or theory rather. According to adherents, an important distinction must be made between the two kingdoms of God's chosen people. Now, you guys are already familiar with this portion over here. Start getting into the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, so I don't really have to read that part, but you guys are pretty much familiar with that. But going to here, it says from the tribe of Judah, right? Of course, let me go back here. The northern kingdom, the birthright. That's the thing that you have to remember. The birthright promise, right? Went from Reuben, excuse me. It was handed down from Reuben to Ephraim and Manasseh by way of Joseph, right? So the birthright blessing went to them. All right. The messianic blessing, the royal blessing went to Judah, right? The northern kingdom initially was 10 tribes, southern kingdom, 2 tribes, Benjamin and Judah, and later the Levites fled because of Jeroboam went way off the chain. But anyway, but nevertheless, so it goes on to say here, from the tribe of Judah came both the Davidic dynasty and the Messianic king, whom Christians confess to be Jesus Christ. From the tribes of Israel, especially Manasseh and Ephraim, came the promise of a prosperous and expanding nation. The northern kingdom was exiled by the Assyrians in 722 BC, and the southern kingdom was also exiled in 586 BC by the Babylonians. While the southern kingdom was allowed to return from exile in 538 BC, the northern kingdom never returned to their native land. Yet the Hebrew prophets promised return for both Israel and Judah. Since God is faithful to his promises, British Israelites reasoned the Israelites still may expect their homecoming, as well as fulfillment of myriad other prophecies spoken directly to Israel. While common history has described the 10 northern tribes as lost, British Israelites labeled this blasphemy, a giving up on God and his promises. Through a complex and convoluted system of biblical interpretation, I want to make sure you pay attention to this entry, people, because you're going to see and you're going to hear with your own ears the convoluted approach in Dr. Pigeon's theology, right? But nevertheless, British Israelites pieced together the migration of the Israelites from their exile and in Assyria through the Caucasus passage and into Northern Europe. That's right, family. They highlight the migration of Israel going through the Caucasus, right? Into Northern Europe. And some versions of the tribes migrated directly to the British Isles. The promise of Joseph's descendants of many nations therefore continued its fulfillment in the settlements of Ireland. No coincidence, right? When you hear many many try to say that the Irish people are Israel, Scotland, Wales, and England. This was Joseph's birthright. It was further realized in the expanding rule of the British Empire. All right. Now, before I go on and show highlight this map again, any comments, Berean Scholar and Sister Carol?
The caucasity of it all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Keep going, brother. Keep going.
All right. So, family, this is the map. Notice what this map says: the Reformation of Israel in the West. And this was actually what the video that I shared yesterday, and I'm going to actually share some clips again. And let me drop the link inside the comment section, because this is a map that Dr. Pigeon was teaching from. So I'm going to drop this link inside the chat so that way you guys can vet it as well. So that way no one can say that, that allude to that I am making this up or that I'm misrepresenting his teachings or whatever. But here it is. I'm dropping it inside the chat. Right now, I want you guys to pay attention to this, family that are watching. Right now, notice here on the map. I did this last night, but we're going to do it again. Notice here, is Kuzu or is Kuza. This is Ashkenazi. This is Ashkenazi right here, right? You see the Caspian Sea. You see the Black Sea. You see, look at this territory here, Scythians.
Mm-hmm.
You see Scythia up here. You see Scythians here. You see the Goths. You see the Caucasus right here. Let me see if I can zoom it in a little more, or I can't because I don't have my touch screen. But I could zoom it in more if I could.
You see Tubal. You see Tubal and Magog as well.
Yeah. This is the map he uses. But notice Do you see anything regarding Africa outside of this area here? Everything goes primarily to the Europeans, territories, the nations of Japheth. You see the Celts, you see the Normans. Everywhere where these arrows are actually passing through, the Norsemen, look at here, Scandinavia, the Vikings. Here you see it says, lost sheep mystery solved. This is the final leg of the migrations of the lost sheep of the tribe of Israel. In other words, the Anglo-Saxons, Celtic, I think that's Germanic, Scandinavia, and kindred peoples to their new home, the Promised Land. Right, so they're referring to the Americas, Northern America, more specific, being more specific, the United States as being, or actually all of North America as being the Promised Land. And they use 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 10. And then when you look here, go ahead, Berean Scholar.
And when you showed me this map when I first saw it last night, that's the first time I saw last night. And I remember you used the videotape, and like you said, I'm saying it for people in the chat, you used the videotape, him stating about the people of Judah, and Margaret Sanger, and the creation of Planned Parenthood and all that stuff. Everybody used that videotape, him stating it, and we said, "Oh wow, he know who we are." But on his site, and I'm glad you put the link in, this is what he's saying now. He said that when he was selling a book, so people could buy a book. But this is what he's saying now.
So basically,
go ahead, Sister Carol.
No, so I was going to say, so basically, what he's stating that all of Japheth's descendants were in the transatlantic shipment, if you will, because it wasn't a slave trade, from these areas that's on this map over to North America.
Well, and when he refers to us, and this we'll get to that here in a second, because I went through quite a few of his teachings, he used us to sell his books.
Exactly.
Right, I got that part.
Because 90% of who he identified as being Israel are Europeans.
Correct.
So he's not even acknowledging the transatlantic. That's why you don't see any records of anything passing through Africa. So he's not dealing with slavery. He's dealing with supposedly the migration pattern of Israel fleeing through the territories of Japheth versus going deeper into Africa.
So, but basically still, they're fleeing from being exiled by other wars that's capturing them, correct? Is that what he's pushing?
No, that's what I'm saying. He's calling it
He's not pushing it at this migration. So nothing's happening. They're just moving around.
That's the point I want to make.
Nomads. There ain't nomads.
Yeah, so that's what I want to make sure we understand. When you see, as you see, there's a difference of saying migrations versus expulsions.
Correct. So they're nomads.
I just want to make sure as you see here on this map, it says migrations.
Right.
And he's going to deal with some wars, but I'm going to let you guys hear it so that way you get context, right? But he's not dealing with slavery. So he's not dealing with that oppressive angle of it.
So is he saying the pilgrims and everyone else, they come over here then?
Yeah, okay. That's why I want to point it out. We're going to listen to him.
All right.
That's basically what he's saying. Look at this map here. He says here, this is the Promised Land. And all these different areas are connected to it. But I want you guys to hear what he actually say, so that way you can actually give even more context. But he has listed here Americans, right? Irish, British, Swedish, Germans, Danish, Scottish, Normans, and family. For those that may not know that, the Normans, the Northmen, the Vikings, that's all the same people.
The Norse, yeah. The gods.
Right? And that's why they use here Israel's new name. Right. And see, this is where we have to be careful, family, when we start not understanding what words mean. When we see it says his Israel's new name, and it says here, for the Lord shall call his servants an example, Israel, by another name. Isaiah 62, verse 2. This has nothing to do with a literal name. This has everything to do with the reputation of Israel. The word Sham means what? Reputation. It means glory. It means character. Didn't say the Most High was going to change the literal name of Yahweh. Oh, I'm about to say Jerusalem. Yasharah Allah.
Okay.
All right. But this part right here, Sister Carol, you see what it says? Migrations.
I got it.
That's the point. That's why I want you to see that, so that way you can see he's not dealing with persecution of what the scripture talks about.
Gotcha. Okay, so let me ask you this: based upon this map and what you stated that he's quoted, how does he explain the bloodline of Abraham being jumped over?
He's going to do it. That's I'm going to play the video.
Okay.
That's why I said I want to listen. I want you guys to listen to the video, because I really don't want to get in front of it. I want the people to hear what he has to say, so it doesn't sound like we're putting words inside his mouth.
Gotcha. I want to hear his
mouth. I got a few clips. So for you guys that are watching, this map depicts a supposed Israelite migration from the ancient so-called Near East through the Caucasus and Europe, and ultimately toward Britain and North America. Several labels on the map reproduce the classic British Israelist migration framework almost verbatim. So this is one of his quotes right here, and then we'll play a couple of his clips. This one will be a great company of nations. This one will be a great nation. Now that's going to become extremely important in our modern understanding. A great company of nations and a great nation singular, right? And I want to make sure you guys understand. I just did a video. I think I did it here, right? Did I do it, guys, about the grafted in?
Yes,
you did.
So this is why it's important for you guys to understand what it means to be grafted in. Grafted in has nothing to do with foreigners. It has everything to do with bloodline Israelites. Not going to go to the details of it, but if you guys haven't watched that video, go back and watch that video, because I really explain the olive tree, the wild olive tree. All right. Paul is not dealing with other nations, and what they're doing when they start dealing with Ephraim, they're taking the prophecy of Ephraim, right, of being a great nation. Remember, we dealt with multiply Malah. They're taking that and making that into part of their British Israelitism, saying that because the prophecy is that Ephraim is going to be a great nation, so this is what they use. All right. So he explicitly tells his audience that the distinction has a modern fulfillment. So Pigeon then constructs an alleged migration chain. He identifies Ephraim with people called Sakah, moves them through Georgia and Germany, and concludes when they moved into Germany, they became known as Saxons, followed immediately by the Saxons would migrate into England. So he is not simply claiming Israelite migration into Europe, but he is constructing a familiar lost tribe trajectory. Ephraim, Sakah, Saxons, then the Anglos to the Brits. He then becomes even more explicit by saying, quote, the Saxons and the Anglos, all of the house of Ephraim, would occupy this land called Britain. So the structure of Pigeon's system is very clear. Gad became the Goths, became the Germanic European populations. Dan became the Vikings, Scandinavians, Irish, Scottish, and etc. Ephraim became the Sakah or Saxons, Anglo-Saxons, Britain. I got more I'm going to share, let you hear exactly. And I know you guys may have to make sure that you don't have any drinks in your mouth or food in your mouth, because you may spit it out. Right? Ephraim's company of nations, British Empire, the Commonwealth. Then British, Brit plus ish equals covenant man. This is all the stuff he teach, right? And he goes on to say too, and I'm going to play it here, the East Gate of London. Okay, so here the city is called Lud. How did it become London? When the tribe of Dan attacked it with Dan, it becomes London. Lud on London, the house of Lud, genetic people, right? So he's saying that London got its name. It was initially Lud, but when the tribe of Dan attacked it, it became Lud Dan. So after connecting Dan, that's why I said don't eat anything.
Come on.
Right? After connecting Dan with Vikings in numerous European locations, he pivots and make an additional connection. Right? Sardinia was claimed by the tribe of Dan, and the tribe of Dan sailed out of Sardinia, and they also sailed around the Horn. Y'all know what the Horn they're referring to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the tribe of Dan made a substantial landing, okay? So, and built a population in the places which we now call Cameroon, right? Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, and Nigeria. Big populations of the house of the tribe of Dan. Doesn't it sound familiar, right? The 1948ers, especially that one that I play a lot. I don't have this full clip. Say I was trying to get that clip. All of them, when they refer to our people, they try to mitigate us to who? Either Dan or Gad. They try to minimize who we are. So what he's doing here, he's saying that Dan, Europeans, but he's going to make an additional connection here by trying to say that, all right, give a little of an African connection there by mentioning the Nigerians. That's the only thing that he modified of the British Israelism.
Wow.
But 90% of the people he referenced, the 90% of the Israel that he's making reference to, 90% of them are European. And this is why I say, I believe he did that to target us, so that way he can sell his books. And I'm a firm believer, and I stand, and he can show me sources. I believe it's our community that have purchased 90% of his books.
Absolutely.
Yep.
He's gotten rich off of us. But look at this here, family. Pigeon is not teaching that Dan exclusively became Europeans. He claims that the same biblical tribe produced population spreads across Ireland, Scotland, Norway, Denmark, and Eastern Europe, right? He all contributes them to the tribe of Dan. So he's not just saying Nigerian, but he's saying all these other tribes. So you see how he minimizes us, right? Right. Okay. So, and simultaneously connecting Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, excuse me if I butchered the name, Cameroon, again to Dan. All right. So that reinforces what, we've been uncovering here, that Pigeon's system isn't simply classical British Israelism. He incorporates a British Israelist European migration framework, especially within Ephraim, Saxons, Anglo-Saxons, Britain, and then expands the tribal diaspora into Africa and other non-European populations. But this is the key. Listen to what he says about the tribe of Judah. Now, don't eat anything. Let me unmute myself. Here we go.
The child without the red ribbon, Pharez. The child with the red ribbon, Zara. So Zara is historically depicted as the red rampant lion. How many have stayed in the Red Lion Hotel? Red Lion Hotel, right? Red rampant lion, right? That is the house of Zara. Golden rampant lion, the rampant lion, right? Golden rampant lion, house of Pharez. So the house of Pharez call themselves Pharashim or Perishim. We know them as Pharisees. Perishim, the house of Pharez. The house of Zara calls themselves Hebrew or Iberian or Iberian. Okay, they don't call themselves, Joseph or Zerah. They call themselves after these other names. Same thing with Manasseh, who calls themselves Dineh, after the mother, because Ephraim, it gets the patrilineal name, which is Yitzhak. And Yitzhak is not Yitzhak, it's Yitzhak. Double A, Yitzhak.
Listen to this closely, family.
How do we know this? Because his history tells us that they were called Sa'aka. They were known historically for thousands of years as Sa'aka. Before that, Sa'akithians, the Sa'akithians. And again, historians, the Scythian people, they were this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. As long as they're Scythian, everything's great. As soon as you find out that they're the house of Judah, those people are horrible, right? Sa'akithians, house of Ephraim, they would become known as the Sa'aka. The sons of Sa'aka are known as the Sa'akashvili. Their country that they used to inhabit to protect the tribes of Israel who were in Ukraine became known as Sa'akardvelo. Sa'akardvelo, which is today called Georgia.
Did he just say the tribes of Judah was in Ukraine?
Yep.
Go take it a step further. Don't stop right there.
He called them Scythians. The
Scythians.
Oh, come on.
Who are in Israel today? Same people.
Wow. So we know who water he's carrying.
Of course. And this is the same mess that John Hagee pushes, because he buys into the same doctrine.
Let me just do this real quick. I have to do this.
Wow.
And his doctrine is all in this awakening.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. People.
And I'm not trying to make any of you guys feel bad. Every one of you guys that had purchased his book, you help endorsed him moving this deception. And guess what? Don't feel bad. We've all indirectly supported the deception.
And this is the Cepher book, people.
This is the
people in the chat
book.
Right.
Let me add to that. Because what you said, because it can be misconstrued, because we in Christianity, when we were there, we help people use our people as a financial base to build their great ministries, to go out and do other things and forget about us when it came to time to supporting us in the streets when things happened to our community. They forgot about who we were then, but they used us to sow your tithe, give your money. Because how we feel about the scripture, how we feel about the Most High at that time. And this is just another incident where he knew that the awakening was happening. People were waking up to who they are. And let me use that movement as a way to make my money.
And that's what it is. Go ahead, Sister Carol.
I was going to address the one in the chat. What that clip means, what you heard, was that this man is stating that the 12 tribes, including Judah, all came from European countries. And he showed you how the names of the tribes derived and what they are today. That's what that means. That means that he's trying to say that all European people are the true Israel.
So that would include. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said that would include the people who are there today, the 1948ers.
Yeah, same people, European people, all Japheth people, all his descendants, is Israel. And that's not scripture anywhere written that Japheth's children are Jacob's children.
Now, notice this on this map, family. I'll put the link inside the chat. You can listen to the video too at your leisure. So it's not this is not us making up anything. I dropped the link last night. Now look at here. You see Saka, right? And you also see Iskuzo. Iskuzo, that refers to the Ashkenazis.
Correct.
Wow.
Right? And he said he's pointing out that the Scythians, the Saka, that's why he was playing with the words.
Correct.
Sakar Scythians,
Mm-hmm.
Ashkenaz, right? And we see Scythians here,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then we see Scythia. But then he said that they were in Ukraine, right? And notice here, you see Scythian, this whole territory here.
Yeah.
And this is where Dr. Brown gets this junk from that he claims. He pushes the same agenda with the names
Yeah.
changing.
Yeah. So family, they all in it together.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
They're all in it together. That's why I want to show this map here. That's why I want to do this live again. Because I really want to focus on this. Look at here, Saka. Saxon, Saki, Saka.
And when I made that comment earlier, because the comment was in the chat that the person said, I heard him say that we were the people of the book, we were Judah, and just think he stood flat-footed and said that while he was selling his book right in front of his poster about his book, and now what he's promoting on his website, because I'm glad you dropped the link and everything else, is exactly opposite from the people he got his money from.
Right.
And guess what, family? He could say we're the people of the book, but according to his doctrine, we're so minute in the numbers.
Right.
Because as you see here, his primary theology is British Israelism.
Right.
Meaning that Europeans are the Israelites.
And basically saying that we descended from them.
The
little bit he's going to claim. Right. Yeah.
Some managed to go into Africa.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying. Some went into Africa from the tribe of Dan.
Right.
But Dan, primarily, as he gave you all those, as I share with you guys, the list of nations that he referred to as Danites.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to the playbook of the 1948ers. They want to hold on to Judah. They want to hold on to Benjamin. They want to hold on to Levi. Those are influential tribes in their minds.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And the reason why they want to hold on to Ephraim is because Ephraim and Manasseh, that is the blessing. That is the promise. That is the birthright blessing of what? Territory.
Territory. Right.
Wow.
Double portion.
As a descendant of Joseph.
Wow.
I see what they're doing.
Family, this is why, and you guys know this because you guys been around me long enough to know, but this is why I'm wired the way that I'm wired. This is why I just don't play when it comes to certain things. This is why I don't roll with circles. I distance myself from a lot of stuff. Because we're going to teach truth here, whether you like it or not. I rather, and I've said this even in our ministry, when we started our ministry up, and Sister Carrie, you heard me say this even back in the day on Facebook. I rather you hate me because I told you the truth,
right?
And you disappear.
Come on.
Then to sit in my face with me pacifying you with lies.
Correct.
And I'd rather that you hate me and you complaining about me telling the truth and touching on this subject than me to be quiet and you get caught up in that hustle. And the first thing you're going to ask is, where are the leaders in Israel? How come no one is calling this stuff out?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when someone had the courage to call this stuff out? Can we all get along? All of a sudden, calling names and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
And if you saw your brother and sister walking off a cliff, won't you say, hey, watch out, there's a cliff over there? And that's exactly what you're doing, being a watchman on the wall. And I hope those who are in the chat tonight who wasn't last night, please go back and watch last night live, because what he's adding to on this one was got my sugar up.
Got the sugar.
Man, what he added to it, because so many of us in this awakening are using terminologies to name the Most High that came from this man's book.
Right.
And this man's influence on our people have us saying things that we don't want to say. We don't, when you get into the meaning of the word, because words have meaning. Please go back and watch last night's live.
And actually, I took the video, I put it in unlisted, but we'll drop the link. I can still drop the link. As long as you have the link, you can access it, because I know I was going to do this tonight. Okay. So immediately afterwards, I put the video in what you call it, unlisted. So if you have the link, if you got the notification, you can still access it. But I'll drop the link before we wrap up tonight.
It's still live on my channel, so
yeah, it's on your channel, but yeah. So on this side, I put it in unlisted.
But that was so important, Pastor, because showing this is showing that's why we have Yah is not the author of confusion. It's people like this is.
Absolutely, family.
Well, unfortunately, we like to follow confusion. That's why we're in the situation we're in. And they know that. And that's why they feed upon us the way they do.
They did it in Christianity, and they do it in the Awakening.
Well, that's right. And Christianity pushes his doctrine. They pushes that the Europeans are the Israelites.
So, family, we're gonna play the video one more time, and I may even play a couple of videos from last night when he even referred to David's original name instead of being Dawad. He said his name was Dude. Come on, family. He even made reference to Judah being connected to the Trojans, to Troy. I didn't even have the chance to put all of that in here. It was so much in that 1 hour and a half lesson. I'm like, what in the world is this guy talking about? He connected Judah with Troy and the Trojan horse. Anyway, let me play this again. I don't want to get Pastor Miller's sugar up.
Too late. Too late.
Here we go, family. All right, let me see here. All right, what's going on here? There we go.
The child without the red ribbon, Perez. The child with the red ribbon, Zara. So Zara is historically depicted as the red rampant lion. How many have stayed in the Red Lion Hotel? Red Lion Hotel, right? Red rampant lion, right? That is the house of Zara. Golden rampant lion, you know, the rampant lion, right? Golden rampant lion, house of Perez. So the house of Perez call themselves Pharisheem or Perishim. We know them as Pharisees. Perishim, the house of Perez. The house of Zara calls themselves Hebrew or Iberian or Iberian. Okay? They don't call themselves, you know, Joseph or Zara. They call themselves after these other names. Same thing with Manasseh, who calls themselves Dineh, after the mother, because Ephraim, it gets the patrilineal name, which is Yitzhak. And Yitzhak is not Yitzhak, it's Yitzhak. Double A, Yitzhak. How do we know this? Because history tells us that they were called Sa'aka. They were known historically for thousands of years as Sa'aka. Before that, Sa'akithians, the Sa'akithians. And again, historians, the Scythian people, they were this, that, and the other thing, blah, blah, blah. As long as they're Scythian, everything's great. As soon as you find out that they're the house of Judah, those people are horrible, right? Sa'akithians, house of Ephraim, they would become known as the Sa'aka. The sons of Sa'aka are known as the Saakashvili. Their country that they used to inhabit to protect the tribes of Israel who were in Ukraine became known as Saakardvelo. Saakardvelo, which is today called Georgia.
So you even hear he double talked. He made reference to the Scythians of being Judah and Ephraim all at the same time.
At the same time, you saw that.
He said two things. He said that the Scythians, Saka, are Judah, and then he closed off by connecting them to Ephraim. Did you guys catch that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. So this is what he said. This is his own quote. They were called Saka, known historically for thousands of years as Saka. In other words, Scythian people, as long as their skin is thin, everything's great. As long as you find out, as soon as you find out that they are the house of Judah. He made it clear that the Scythians are from the house of Judah. So again, he connects the Scythians to the tribe of Judah. You guys know this, but this is why I go through these refreshers, because it's so easy to forget. Every now and then I got to pull out the Scythian doctrine. So you guys understand, this stuff is no joke. If you don't understand Genesis chapter 10, if you don't understand where we see, Genesis chapter 4, the generations of Adam. If you don't understand those passages of such and such begat such and such, these are the sons of such and such, you're going to be lost, and you will get caught up in deception like this. But we've been programmed, oh, don't worry about those chapters. Those are boring chapters. So let's highlight a few things on this map real quick. And, and guys, you guys already know how we do it. All right. Who are the Scythians? Yep. Start with locating who? Magog. You guys going to remember this, right? Because I done taught this a number of times. Magog, region of Gog, the second son of Japheth. In Ezekiel, it is the name of a nation, probably some who? Scythian or Scythian or Tartar tribe descended from Japheth. They are described as skilled horsemen and expert in the use of the bow. But it goes on to say here, let's see here. Yeah, it goes on to say here, Scythian nations, fierce, innumerable, who live beyond the Caucasus and the Lake Meatis and near the Caspian Sea, and spread out even onward to India. So make a note of that, family. So Magog is the second son of Japheth, right? When we go to Genesis chapter 10, verse 1 and 2, but we're really going to highlight verse 2, the sons of Japheth, Gomer or Japheth, Gomer, Gamar, and Magog, Magawag, and Madai, Madaya, Javan, Yawana or Yawan, and Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. So we see Gomer here, but the key we're going to get to Ashkenaz. We're going to deal with the Scythians. We're going to deal with all these guys, but we see Magog right here. So according to Eastern Bible Dictionary, Magog is also connected to the Scythians or Scythians. So who are the Scythians? And I'm saying it both ways because people pronounce it different ways. Look at here. This is the Britannica. Scythians or Scythians, also called Sith, like Star Wars, the Sith. Yep. Notice what we see here. Saka. And Sake, member of a nomadic people originally of Iranian stock, known from as early as the 9th century BCE, who migrated westward from Central Asia to southern Russia and Ukraine in the 8th and 9th centuries BCE. The Scythians founded a rich, powerful empire centered on what is now Crimea. So who are the Scythians? This is another source connecting two groups here, and one of Sister Carol's favorite buddies here. Right? Sister Carol, you know who your favorite buddy is.
Don't give me a stroke.
You know, So, and Sister Carol, you're safe here because I took his video down.
Thank you.
Say where the name Ashkenazi came from. So over 1,000 years ago, as Jewish people scattered around the world, had now immigrated in Europe, and now were in the Rhineland, in Germany. They looked at the name Gomer in Genesis 10, and they connected Gomer with Germany. So they took on the identity of the name Ashkenaz. It has nothing to do with Ashkenaz in the Bible, which is a descendant of Yahweh. It's just a name that was taken. It's that simple. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin. Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin.
Michael Brown, I am Caucasian.
Just like my last name Brown doesn't refer to the color of my skin. Anything else, it was shortened from a Russian name when my grandfather came over at Ellis Island, and the name got shortened to a name. That's all it is. That's all it is. The idea that Ashkenazi Jews descended from Yahweh is a myth, 100% false, zero truth. Just study the history.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
That was a good setup.
That was a great setup.
Well, I was saying, yeah, his skin is not brown, but I know something else on him is brown.
Ooh.
So
anyway, what he's putting out.
What he putting down. There you go.
So as we see here, this is a source here connecting the Ashkenazis to the Scythians or Scythians by way of DNA. Analysis of 393 Ashkenazic, Iranian, and Mountain Jews and over 609 Jewish genomes demonstrated that Greeks, Romans, Iranians, and Turks exhibit the highest genetic similarity, with Ashkenazi Jews. The geographic population structure analysis localized most Ashkenazi Jews along major primeval trade routes in northeastern Turkey adjacent to primeval villages with names that may derive from Ashkenaz. But let's fast forward here. Look here, the Jews called Ashkenazic, an example, Scythian or Scythian. Can't get around it, family. Who are the Scythians? The Anchor Bible Dictionary, Volume 1, definition of Ashkenaz. You're going to see the connection. First descendant of Gomer, who is the first offspring of Japheth in the Table of Nations. Right? It goes on to say, in Jeremiah 51:27, Ashkenaz appears along with Ararat and many as a kingdom called upon to oppose Babylon. The name is identified with the Neo-Assyrian Ishkuza. Remember we talked about on that map? Remember I make a note of it? Let's go back here.
It's on the map. I saw it.
All right. Let's go back here to the map. All right, where's my mouse? There we go. Come on, mouse. My mouse is acting up here. There we go. All right. Let's go back to the map real quick. Remember, Ishkuza, right?
There it is. I see it.
Y'all see it?
Wow.
Right there, family. Let me zoom in one more time. All right. So let's go right back down to where we were.
I think about all the people who watched the He-Man cartoons, Hercules, what's some of the other ones that had all the Vikings and all those people in it. All in your faces.
That's all these the same people.
And that's who these people are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you see here, family, the name is identified with the Neo-Assyrian Ishkuza, who appeared between the Black and Caspian Seas in the 8th and 7th century BCE, or BC rather, driving out the Cimmerians, in threatening the Assyrians for Herodotus, these people these people came to be called Scythians. All right. So we see history report making notes of them. But look here, the consonants of Ashkenaz is Ishkuzu or Kuza rather ties to that map. Okay. Let's see here. Present archaeological evidence for a distinctive Scythian or Scythian culture begins in the 7th century BC. Okay. So this is just given for more information confirming what we pointed out. I'm just fast forwarding a little bit here for the sake of time. But according to the Anchor Bible Dictionary, the Scythians or Scythians are the descendants of Ashkenaz. Okay. And then when we go and look up at Scythians from volume 5 from the Anchor Bible Dictionary, it's going to pretty much say the same thing. Biblical scholars sometimes associate the Scythians with the Ashkenaz with the bringers of destruction. Goes on to say outside the Hebrew Bible, their reputation for savagery is alluded to in 2nd Maccabees. So it gives some references of them, right? The Scythians called Ashguzi or Ashguze by the Assyrians apparently first appeared in written history in the annals of Asarhaddon. All right. But this is just repeating the same thing. But the key that you see here, you see the Scythian presence. And this is the part that you don't hear about. Scythians ruled over all the Near East for 28 years after entering the area from the north. It goes on to say the Scythians continue to be mentioned in texts of the Babylonian, Persians, and Greeks as allies and enemies through the 4th century BC. All right. The Scythians occupy what is called modern day Russia and Ukraine. And there's another group of Russians who are connected to Ukraine, right? Of course, Russia's in Ukraine. They are called the Khazars. All of these are the same people, family. All right. So the Jewish community, as we know, the 1948ers, as we know them, falls under two main groups, the Sephardic and the Ashkenazi, which they created both of these groups. All right. The Ashkenazis, as we already know, are the East European 1948ers, which were found in Poland, Russia, Germany, Western Asia, and other territories. All right, but let's fast forward here. I don't want to get into all this, but you see here, Khazars, a people of Turkish origin, whose life and history are interwoven with the very beginning of the history of the Jews of Russia. This is their own source.
The Jewish Encyclopedia.
Volume 4, page 1.
Wow. And that whole territory was called Khazaria.
So you see here, historical evidence point to the region of the Ural as home of the Khazars. All right. Now, this is another source. I'm not going to go through all of the details here, right? But this is not calling their movements of the Scythians. He's making a correction of not calling it migrations, but invasions. And this person is making a reference to the origin of, as you see here, to the origins of Europeans and, as you see here, Jews. According to some scientists, large parts of the so-called European or Caucasian civilizations, including the Indo-European languages, originally come from the area between the Caucasus and the Volga. In other words, Caspian and Pontic steppe. Ashkenazi Jewry, deriving from the ancient Khazars or Khazars, can also be traced back to the same area. I embarked on an overland trip from the Caspian Sea and the Caucasus to Central Europe, following in the footsteps of our ancestors to learn more about our history on a road trip from east to west, right? And he describes their invasions as a serpent. And this is his map that he drew up. referring to this as a movement of serpents.
And interesting you brought that up, because that's what they're doing now. They're
Exactly.
creating another serpent of killing in through Israel on up to Iran and on around that whole area. They're trying to, and Ukraine and Russia, they're trying to increase their territory to what they had before.
Yeah.
And
that's what's going on.
And the fact that they like to say that we're the savage. I saw that in the chat. You know, they project,
they're barbarians.
They project their characteristics on us.
Yeah. They're barbarians.
Oh, it's funny that you said that, right? It's funny that you said that. Matter of fact, let me give a couple of shout outs here. I didn't know we had some super chats here. I want to say shout outs to Sandina. I want to say thank you for the love and support.
Hallelujah.
Really appreciate it, family. Let's show some love to Sandina for the love and support tonight, the contributions. Also, Georgetta, thank you for the love and support. Really appreciate it.
Hallelujah.
This is a great lesson because I'm still seeking and searching for the truth. Really appreciate it. And hope and pray that this helps because there's so many layers of delusion that we've been subjected to.
So many layers.
At every angle. So we had to question everything, just like the Bereans, right? We had to question everything.
That's right.
And as I think Sister Carol, a Berean scholar, alluded to, look at this map. These are invasions, but of course, the other map, they refer to it as migrations.
Right.
All right, let's see here. And this is him giving more clarity on here. I'm not going to read all of this, but you guys get the gist of it. All right, let me fast forward here. All right, so again, there's a reason why these name stealers continue to make an assertive effort to belittle the importance of our skin complexion and its texture. And I think you guys brought up the attribute of savagery. Savagery. Look at this, family. Researchers test 2,400-year-old leather and realize it's made of human skin. A group of horse riding warriors kept some gruesome battle trophies. And look at who they are.
Scythians.
So the Scythians or Scythians in modern day Ukraine made leather out of human skin. Can't make this up, family. Leather found on 14 different Scythian sites in southern Ukraine. All right. So why is this historical barbaric fact important to know? I'm not going to read all of this. I'll just drop the link. But this is a source showing how they used our skin for shoes, for leather, for bags, purses, you name it. These are the same people. The attributes are the same people. All right. Let me see here. Let's fast forward, family. I'm not going to read all of this. I'll drop the link here before we wrap up here. Herodotus gave some additional information about them. I'm not going to read all of this, but he made reference to them being what? Barbarians. Wandering, right? So I'm just fast forwarding here, family, just for the sake of time. Let's see here. There's another source here I was going to. All right, so this is why they don't want to do DNAs over in the current land, right? This is a source here, right? Want to fully understand your family genealogy? Not without a court order. This is coming from the Jerusalem Post. According to some ancestry websites, there are indicators to tell you if you possess Jewish DNA or not. If you live in Israel and want to find out where your family comes from, what do? One thing is for certain, an ancestry kit from a local pharmacy is out of the question. According to Yediot Aharonot report, while millions of such kits have been sold in the United States, Israelis are forbidden to buy ancestry kits from the store without presenting a court order. You have to get a court order. All right. You guys already understand this, the Jutes, right? Because this is how we're going to make the connection with the Scythians, the Jutes, the Jots. You guys already know what that word sounds like, right? Jutes. And then the plural of it, Jutish, or anyway. Look at this, family. For you guys that may not know this, one of the ancient Germanic inhabitants of Jutland. We don't hear about them in school. We always heard about the Angles and the Saxons, but we never heard about the Jutes. I know I didn't hear about them. The peninsula between modern Germany and Denmark, right? Dan, that's what they want to call Dan, who with the Angles and Saxons invaded Britain in the 5th century. Traditionally, they were said to have settled in Kent and Hampshire. The name is related to Old Norse Eotar, related to Jutish. So you have Jute and Jutish. Family, you guys know your ears are not deceiving you.
Wow.
Jutes and Jutish sound just like what? I wish I had. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get the electric company music. When you do this music with one of these things do not belong here, I'm gonna have that play in the background. So look at here. Jutes and Jutish sound just like what?
Jews and Jews, that's Jewish.
And they're still coming from that same language tree.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody drop it in the chat. They said the same thing.
And you could Google this yourself, families. You could go to just type in etymology of Jute. Matter of fact, I'll just, like they would say, the old school would say, I'll do you a solid. My father used to say that a lot. We do a solid. All right, let's see here. I'll drop this link inside the chat right now before I forget.
And these are the same people that earlier we said who had the savagery, the saddles made out of skin. You saw the line of conquest that they did to invade other people. And when they invaded people, they killed off the men and took the women. They killed off the men and they took the women to try to make themselves in their image. But yet we're the savage.
That's how they paint that picture, right? They're the ones that's going on excavations or expedition, whatever you call it now. I can't even get my words out. Getting tongue-tied. But they're going to expeditions and excursions out in Africa, killing who? Animals.
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly.
So one video where just this past week, where a couple killed a lion, not knowing that the brother was in the cut, hiding in the cut.
Yep.
Oh,
that's happened before.
And the brother came out
and killed him.
And killed both of them. And ate the guy out, everything but his head.
Yep. Yep.
And
let's see here. All right, family. Let's go to a key point here. All right. You guys know I done pulled this out a number of times. Antiquity of Jot race. And this source further proves, as he already talked about, it's not me making this up, connecting the Jutes with the Scythians or the Scythians, the Vikings, all of them, the Norsemen. They're the same people, family. The same people. Look at here. It says here, Jews were Scythian Jots, while Anglos and Saxons belonged to Teutonic race. But it goes on to say here, let me go to a key point here. It says here, I think I just, right here. Let me go back. Let's see here. As mentioned at number 4 above, he has confused Angles and Saxons who belong to Teutonic race with Jutes, Danes, and Normans who belong to Scythian race. The fact that they were allies in their raids upon Britain is not enough for their racial confusion. Vikings were called Northmen because they lived in the north. Angles and Saxons lived in the south. Northmen ultimately were abbreviated into Normans. So are the Jutes, who are Scythian Jots, connected to the Vikings? We just answered that question, but look at here. There was a fresh conquest of England by the Danes, and the Norman dukes of Normandy became king of England, where this will be mentioned in details in another chapter. Here I am concerned only with the fact that Danes, Vikings, or Normans were all Jutes. They were all different names under the same Scythian race.
There we
The
go.
name race of Scythian Jots. The Chinese called them Yuchi. Sound familiar, right? You put a J on there, what it's going to sound like? Juti, Jewish, Jutish, Jutes. Anyway, let's fast forward here. I think that's it with that. But this is one more clip here I'll play here before we wrap it up. Let me see here. Which one, if I put a new one here? Let me see.
Who does the tribe of Zerah call themselves? Do they call themselves after Judah, their father? Or after Yitzchak? No. Who took the name of Yitzchak? Ephraim. You shall be called after the name of Isaac. Ephraim. But what does the house of Zerah call themselves? Hebrew. After Abraham's grandfather, Aber. Right? What do they call the Spanish Peninsula? The Iberian Peninsula. And the people there, Iberian. Or as the Hebrew might say, Aberian. Aber, you read it in your text, in the English text, Aber, the grandfather of Abraham. But if you look closely at the Hebrew, the word is Ebro. What's the name of the main river in Spain? Ebro. What's one of its major cities? Zaragoza. Named after who? Zerah, the son of Judah.
Wow.
Yeah, family. Yeah, family. He even have a teaching. I didn't have a chance to put the clip in here. He did a video called The Tribe of Yeshua. Right? That's another way of replacement. Teaching what we see in the church, that if you believe in Christ, you become Judah. That's that teaching that he has.
Wow. So that is the main reason, and I thank the Most High that you've been on this for a while, and that words matter. Words matter, because we've been fed this for years in the awakening from a person who presented himself as an ally, who knew who we were, but yet and still, he is teaching and doing it boldly, the replacement of the tiny hatters in our place.
Exactly.
And doing it boldly.
Exactly. He got his money from us and continues to get his money from us.
And got a lot of money. A lot of money. And when we hear our brothers and sisters online, we hear us, and it's, they're not in fault. That's what they've been given. That's what we've been given. We're not saying against them. I'm not coming against them, just because they heard it from somebody that they trusted. And that's right. What we have to. We cannot sit in that mentality anymore. We got to try everything. We need to study everything to make sure what in this land of the system of Babylon. I'm not saying the land of Babylon, but the system of Babylon, because it's everywhere. We got to trust what we take in.
Mm-hmm.
Verify.
let's see. I was trying to find that lesson. Let me go to his site real quick. This is stuff he teach, family. This is the stuff he teach. And he literally has a lesson called Tribe of Yeshua.
I reminded me, you were talking offline, Pastor, about, is another gentleman like this who will present himself as an ally, but when you hear some of his teaching, he does the same thing. He replaced us with them, with the
Yeah.
British.
He's out there in California. I have his video up, family. You guys saw his video. I think his name is Matthew something, Pastor Matthew something. And he's into that British Israelism. He started off by saying we're Judah, then he transitioned to saying that he's Judah.
That's that British pastor that says about that America don't know their own history. They don't know their own history.
All right, I'm gonna share this with you guys real quick, and we're gonna wrap it up with this. Let's see here. All right. All right, can you guys see my screen? And I want to say fair use. Fair use. This is, and I'll drop the link inside the chat. Matter of fact, I'm not going to zoom it. I'm not putting it right. All right. Can you guys hear this?
Yes, I hear it.
All right, let me drop this link, family. This is him, the tribe of Yahshua, right? And this is him explaining Judah, but then also connecting those that follow Christ become Judah, or the tribe of Yahshua connected to Judah, whatever. Here it is. Let me fast forward a little bit. Fair use.
You talk about being a stranger and inheriting the tribe. If you're a stranger, there's been some very good movies out there about guys that have been introduced to, for instance, the First Nation tribes in the United States, like Dancing with Wolves is one that I found to be an interesting show, or Little Big Man is another, where you have a person who comes from, let's call it an Anglo-Saxon background, and they end up being exposed to the tribes for some period of time, and then they become sojourners with the tribe. In other words, they take on the language, they take on the customs, they take on the practices, they take on the ideas, and they become that kind of a person. Now, ultimately, the guy in Dances with Wolves was ostracized from the community and, totally taken out of his position and so forth, because they had seen him as a convert. But this is where we really come into this. And so when we say, okay, we're going to sojourn with a particular tribe, one tribe or another. Now, when Yahusha, of course, Yahusha comes from the tribe of the Jews. However, he comes from the tribe of the Yahudim. Now, when we talk about this, we have to talk about some of the delicate subjects that are before us today, which is that during the time of Yahusha, how many of the people who claimed to be Yahudim were actually Yahudim, compared to how many people were imposters claiming to be Yahudim who were not? We know for a certainty that Herod the Great was not Jewish. And we know that many of his ministers that he had appointed to key positions of power inside of Israel were not Jews either. In fact, many of them were Edomites or Moabites or Ammonites, or even of the slave classes of Egypt that had moved into positions of power and were elevated because they had married women who were reportedly Jewish women, Yahudi women. And when you start talking about the Yahudis around the world at that time, there were a much greater population of Yahudim in Babylon during the time of the Mashiach than there was in Jerusalem. I think it was probably a similar situation down in Mecca and Medina as well. It was probably a very similar population of Yahudim in those cities. And even possibly out in this river valley as well, where you had a significant population of Yahudim. And so when you look at the customs and you say, well, what are the customs if we're going to be in this tribe of Yahusha? What are the customs? Well, the beauty of it is that Yahusha, for one, gave us so many examples of what it is to follow him and to follow his footsteps. And he said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. This is a very important teaching. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Because we're not burdened down with 613 mitzvot. We're not burdened down with another, 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 halakas that come out of the Mishnah. But instead, we have a very simple kind of formula and a way to live life, and a way to live life that calls us to a standard of excellence without burdening us with a whole body of regulations that may or may not have any relevance. I mean, when you're talking about, you need to have a grain offering and an incense offering, and you have to kill 2 birds over here, and don't forget to participate in the, all of those rules were fine for the house of Yasharel, but they were not retained in the Ark of the Covenant. What was retained in the Ark of the Covenant was the stones of the 10 Commandments, right? That's what was contained in the Ark of the Covenant, because that's what's inside the covenant. And so, you're talking about a life that is, I think it's a gentle life, and it's a beautiful life. It's a life that you're called to natural things. You're called to simplicity. You're called to one man, one woman in marriage, to try to live out your life as, in a singular family. You're called to honesty and integrity in your job. You're called to.
All right, I'm gonna pause. Did you guys get the gist of it?
Yeah, because make my head hurt. Ugh.
You get the gist of it. So there you have it, family. We want to stop right here. There's much more we can cover, but just so that way you guys understand the depth of delusion that this guy, for us, the doctrine that he's teaching.
Wow.
So in conclusion, stay away from the Cepher.
Well, you see what it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, guys. We've been lied on, we've been lied to, and we've been abused for centuries by the institution. And this is just one other. This came along and added to it. I remember a while back, Pastor, you and I was talking about how they always try to say that we're dangerous, we're that black on black crime, and who we are. But in the world, there's 195 noted countries. You can find that in the Encyclopedia Britannica. 195. 2 of them not noted in the United Nations. The Vatican City and Palestine. Of that 193, only 7 countries have ever invaded, conquered, pillaged, killed, raped other countries. 7. And they all come from the Arrowhead map highlighted.
Absolutely.
All of them came from there.
Absolutely.
This is nothing but Talmudic doctrine. That's all it is.
Oh, you go to see, I pay attention to the details, man. We even have people in the Awakening using the word Talmud and Mishnah, just this basically midrash. Family, what these 1948s would do, they'll take a word that's used the least and make a doctrine out of it.
Yep.
We're taking a lot of the names that we see people are using today, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. When you hear people say Mora and Moray, that wasn't a common term.
No.
But I'm just saying, but with these guys, the 1948ers, they'll see a word and they'll take that word and make it into an entire doctrine. And this guy have a book on his main page that refers to he put his own title on it, but Talmudic something.
Without knowing what the Talmud is.
Oh, he knows what the Talmud
is. Oh, he knows.
Yeah, he knows.
Just based on what he's got to say in that video, let you know he knows.
Yeah, he knows what the Talmud is.
Absolutely.
But then you hear the Christian default too. 613 laws. There's no 613 laws.
He's he's what you call a messianic Jew, whatever that is.
Very messy.
Yeah, very messy.
Very messy. I love that.
So, with that being said, family, oh, go ahead, guys. I'm sorry.
I mean, and that's the brainwash, Pastor. The 613 laws. All these buzzwords, all these things that we take in, and it causes confusion. And like I said before, Yahweh is not the author of confusion.
And family, there's a lesson on that here on the channel where I completely debunked that whole 613 law nonsense. That is Jewish mysticism, or the 1948ers mysticism. There's no such thing as 614 laws, period. So anyway, they get into that negative and positive.
And I'm gonna drop that link. I'm gonna drop that link in the chat for you. I just pulled it up.
Okay.
On your channel.
So family, with that being said, starting with you, Sister Carol, any final words you want to drop before we wrap it up?
Stay away from the Cepher. Stick with the KJV. The KJV is the closest that you're probably going to get to accuracy of what you need to learn for a scripture.
Amen. Berean scholar?
Make sure that we all we throw away that habit we had of being in these organizations, the church and everything, where we just sit and let somebody teach us and preach to us. Be a workman who need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Don't just listen to what Pastor Kelly said, what I say, or anybody said. Go search the scriptures. Search these facts for yourself.
Amen. In the words of them, Yahweh that he gave to the Israelites, or gave to Moses to give to the Israelites, he said to them in Exodus chapter 14, verse 13 and 14, fear ye not, stand still, see the salvation of Yahweh. These Egyptians that you see here today will not have power over you ever again. The Most High will fight for you. But here's the kicker, family. We have to hold our peace. The Hebrew word in that text is not shalom. It's actually charash, which means be quiet. Can't go back, can't stay here, keep moving forward. Shalom.
There is something special about you, Judah. There is something special about you, Israel, or Yashara'al. When I say Judah, Yahwadah. That is the ancient pronunciation of the word. There is something special about you, Judah. Yahweh only spoke to you, to us, as a nation. And he spoke to no other nation. That's why we are supposed to be what? That light. We're Yah's chosen people that's separated. We're supposed to be the nation that's teaching the nations, not the nations teaching us.
Lion of Judah come upon the earth, bringing unquenchable fire. All the tribes of Israel and the believers stand in power. Speak with authority, worship uncontrollably. There's something about you, Judah. Fire upon the kingdom of darkness. We may suffer for a little while, but joy cometh in the morning.
Judah special, no wonder we were a chosen vessel. In and out of captivity, weaving like a pretzel. Messiah come through the tribe, clean out the bloodline. We disciples, so put us up on the front line. Face to face with crime, cause we ain't scared to grind. When you connect the divine, we stay pressed for time. Evangelize can define, put us in prison in. Worship first, but we always invite the spirit in. Hold revival through a pen, stacking souls in empty bins. Joy in the morning, this a warning, you will never win. Fire upon the head of the serpent, he next tail chirping. It's too late cause your tail's already burning. I don't want your riches, gotta match it with gold streets. Movers all around me, the light shine, no police. The living used to be deceased, resurrected to a feast. Nothing like being in peace at the table with the meat.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11 verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14 verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10.